We're doing a quick voice note. We're in the theater about to see Spider-Man. It's completely packed. Everyone is silent except for us. But we have to do this right now. We have to give our theories right before the movie starts. So, my theory
Keep it down.
is that we're going to find out at the end of the movie that the events of this film have taken place on Battle World.
Oh.
And that Spider-Man has already been taken by Dr. Doom. He's
man.
Dr. Doom's first Battle World abductee.
That's super interesting. Okay. All right. I'm going to go with not that. Instead, I'm going to say that he's going to turn into the man spider because of his changes in his DNA that we've seen in the trailers. And that the only way to stabilize him is to use the Venom symbiote. And so he's going to be rocking the black suit in Doomsday.
All right. We'll find out. Thanks. Goodbye now. Shh. I'm done. I'm wrapping it up right now. Stop yelling at me. Welcome to a special bonus episode of Superhero Cinema Club. In today's episode, we're going to give our first reactions to Spider-Man Brand New Day, the fourth Spider-Man movie set in the MCU. We'll start with a general discussion, so don't worry. We'll let you know when we're getting into spoilers. We're not going to ruin any of the surprises of this movie, unlike some people we've already seen on the internet. Shame, Mike. Shame on them.
Shame, Bill. Shame.
My name is Mark Schiff, and joining me as always, it's the Ned to my MJ. It's Mike Carnes.
I'm sorry, I was falling asleep just like I was in the theater.
Oh, shots fired immediately.
What did you say? I wasn't paying attention.
Wow, okay. Thought you'd like that one because this one's more about the dynamic between Ned and MJ rather than Ned and Peter, so...
I mean, I guess he's kind of not really in it.
All right, okay. Coming in hot, folks, coming in hot. Before we get into our larger discussion of the film, obviously it's released on the day that this podcast will be dropping, so go out and check it out, July 31st, 2026. Shouts to my man Jason Bagwell for his birthday. Also shouts to Harry Potter for his birthday, same day.
And
July
shout out
31st.
to all the friends that we made in the movie theater last night.
Yeah, shout out to first-time listeners that may have met us in the movie theater, took our stickers, and are giving us a shot. We appreciate you guys for listening and everybody for listening. So to get this thing started, Mike, we're going to kind of talk about Spider-Man in the MCU. Now, obviously, this season that we've been doing, we've focused on the first 5 Spider-Man films, the Tobey films, and the Andrew films. We've not talked about MCU Spider-Man because that's obviously canon to the MCU, so we'll save those for their respective phases. But this is our chance to kind of get into that, Mike. And so Spider-Man has appeared in 7 films in the MCU. Obviously, his original trilogy, Brand New Day, as well as Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame. Mike, what is your favorite Spider-Man movie, not movie, but just appearance out of those 7?
My favorite Tom Holland Spider-Man appearance is Infinity War. I love Tom Holland in that movie. He's so charming. He's excited to be in the movie. He's excited for everything that's happening. He's excited that Tony Stark is picking his brain, like, okay, how would you defeat this enemy? Go, like, let's form a plan right now. He's like, okay, what about that movie Aliens? Have you seen that? Like, I love his excitement in that, and I love him at the end and just the way that he portrays how scared he is when the snap happens. And it's very heartbreaking in that moment, even though obviously we know nobody's really dead in that movie, but it was still such a shocking experience to see all of these characters be killed off in the moment, and he portrays that death scene very well. I love his suit in that movie too. You know, he gets
the Iron Spider suit is amazing.
The Iron Spider is sick, and we get, you know, it's the new car smell line. It's hilarious. Everything about that version of Spider-Man in that movie is great to me.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I think that's, you know, he's amazing in that film. And I want to say, like, you know, we've obviously gone through the first 5 Spider-Man films. Bit of a mixed bag, I would say.
A little bit.
Some really high highs and some really low lows. I think all of the Tom Holland films are at a minimum good. Every one of the 7 MCU the lowest tier, I would say, is good, honestly. This is no disrespect to any of the other appearances or any of the solo films, but my pick would be Civil War. If you remember, Mike, the trailer for Civil War ended with a little stinger of Spider-Man snatching Captain America's shield away from him. My head kind of exploded when that happened. I know all Marvel nerds were like, oh God, let's go! Like Spider-Man in the MCU. So we knew he was gonna be in it. I don't think any of us expected his character to have that big of a role. The way they introduce him, the scene, his literal first appearance in the MCU with Tony showing up at his house, you get first appearance of Aunt May, and you're like, oh my God, it's, she's young and kind of hot. Like, how about that? It was just immediately clear, like, this is not going to be the Spider-Man that we knew. They literally dispensed with any Uncle Ben stuff immediately, which was a huge criticism, obviously, for the Amazing Spider-Man series. And then he's in that movie a lot, right? Like, he actually has a good amount to do. He's a big part of the huge battle at the airport. His awe at being alongside the heroes is so charming. And Holland just immediately was like, this is it. They did it. They found the right guy for this role. A huge part of the MCU success is in the casting, I believe. They completely nailed it with Tom Holland, who is an actor. I don't think most people kind of knew him before this. This is really how he made his name on the scene. And, as good as the other Spider-Man films are, and even Infinity War, he's barely an Endgame. I don't think most people would pick that as their favorite Spider-Man, but a couple scenes. But it just felt like, what a rush. Like, I really remember being in the theater being like, they did it. These sons of bitches, they're never going to miss because they just keep winning. And I know. Welcome to, post Endgame Marvel, but in any event. Yeah, it felt great. And so, I still think his appearance in Civil War is my favorite.
I love his level of respect for everyone in the scene, especially Tony. He always calls him Mr. Stark every time. The interaction with him and Captain America, where he's like, oh, yeah, you're from Queens, too? Like, that's amazing. And yeah, they just have that nice little back and forth. Even though they're battling, there's still a level of respect there that's happening. And it's a good pick. Yeah. Good job.
Well, now let's get into our first category here, the Tale of the Cape. So, obviously, most of the time we talk about these films, we'll get into how much they make, blah, blah, blah. This movie is, as we're recording, still has not been widely released, so we don't know what it's going to make, but we do know it's going to be released on July 31st, 2026, and I was a little surprised by the budget for this movie, Mike. $225 million is what they're reporting. The Odyssey was $250 million, also co-starring Tom Holland. I felt like you saw every bit of the $250 million on the screen in the Odyssey.
Yeah.
Not sure that I would have anticipated that this movie was $225 million worth of budget, but
no, I'd agree with that.
That means that this movie needs to go pretty big to make its money back. The previous Spider-Man film, No Way Home, made $1.9 billion at the box office. Not only was this the highest grossing solo Spider-Man film of the entire series, but it's also the highest grossing Sony film ever released. This is the biggest hit in the history of Columbia Pictures and Sony Entertainment.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either until I was doing my research. And it also makes it the second highest grossing film of the decade, the 2020s. Mike, can you name the highest grossing film of the 2020s?
Is it Endgame?
That was 2019.
Dang it. Okay.
What's wild about this is that these are the movies, like, the fact that you struggle to think what is the highest grossing film of the 2020s almost gives away what movie it is, because these are the weird memory hold smash hits that no one ever talks about or thinks about.
Oppenheimer?
It's Avatar: The Way of the Water. $2.2 billion. I know they're out there, Mike. I know there's Avatar heads. I saw it in theaters. I contributed to that some. I saw it in IMAX 3D, so I paid like $30 for it.
Yeah, me too.
It's just weird that these movies are like a roller coaster. Like, you go on them, you have your ride, and then you leave, and you don't really talk about the roller coaster because it's a roller coaster. It's not like, hey, do you remember when we went up the hill and then went down the hill and it was like, whoa, that was super fun. Like, it's a roller coaster ride that leaves no impression, it's so odd. Avatar, so weird.
I think part of it too is you talked about the inflation of the ticket. You're paying $30 to
Yeah,
go see an IMAX 3D. Everybody wants to see it in that highest form possible of like IMAX 3D, unless you get motion sickness or whatever, which is perfectly understandable for a
yeah.
movie like that. I paid for my entire family to go, so that was my Christmas present to them that year. I bought
Wow.
every single person a ticket
Wow.
so that we could all go see it and share it
Which was
together.
probably like $150 or something,
It was
I
about
guess, for
that,
your whole
yeah.
family. Yeah. Wow.
And we had a great time. Quick note: as I walked into the theater, there was an old couple walking out. They had just seen the movie, and the old guy said, "Well, you know they're going to do another one because the bad guy lives at the end of it." You son of a bitch! Completely ruined Avatar 2 ending for me. So I was waiting for that, basically the whole time.
And to that point, Mike, I think this is another opportunity for us to present don't be that guy at this Spider Man movie that's walking out of the theater talking about the surprises,
Right.
talking about the certain characters. Keep your mouth shut until you're in the car or
Right.
talk about other
100%.
aspects. No one likes that guy. You can ruin people's entire experience by being that guy. Don't be that guy. Avatar, it's weird. The bigger question here, Mike, and if you are the highest grossing movie in Sony history, you're probably not going to be the new highest grossing, right? I think it's unrealistic to expect this movie to go full 2 billion. But do you think it will cross 1 billion even?
No, I think it'll just barely come in under. It'll make like 950 million. I feel like there's going to be a lot of word of mouth about this movie. What it actually delivers on versus what it's promising, especially this close to Doomsday coming out. I think a lot of people are going to wait and just watch it on demand at home.
I agree with that. It's not going to flop. I think it'll make a lot of money. I'm not sure it's going to get to 1 billion. And I think that word of mouth, to your point, may not be great. We're going to get into it in a minute, so we'll save that. But let's talk a little bit about the crew behind this film. So, unlike the first three Spider Man films, which were directed by John Watts, this one is Destin Daniel Cretton. DDC, as
As he's known.
yeah, I'm going to call him DDC because that's my boy. Started his career with the great indie drama Short Term 12. Really good film if you haven't seen it. Brie Larson, Lakeith Stanfield, and Rami Malek are all in that movie and kind of was one of their first big films and put them on the scene. So definitely worth a watch. But he leapt into Marvel by directing Shang-Chi, a film that both of us very much enjoyed. I think is a really good.
I think it's really good.
It might be. It's up there. It's possibly the best post-Endgame Marvel movie in my opinion. It's certainly high on that list. He also co-created this spring's Wonder Man. Did you watch Wonder Man, Mike?
I'm about halfway through it.
I loved it.
Okay.
I actually think it's up there. I'm not going to say it's the best Marvel series, but it's in the top, the highest tier of Marvel series. I thought it was super funny, super charming, and it's kind of the rare Marvel show that builds to an extremely satisfying climax. I think that's been one of the issues with
Yes.
all of the MCU stories is that like the climax is like kind of like, well, more to be continued in later, and Wonder Man is really good. I loved it. So I came in with really high expectations for him as a director. I think those were mostly satisfied. I think he did a really good job with this film. Again, it's difficult to kind of talk without spoilers, but it's not too much of a spoiler to say because you see it in the trailers. I replicate a few iconic covers from Spider-Man comic issues that's really cool. There's a great montage near the beginning. I thought that was really well done. And I thought the web slinging and stuff in this film was really good. There's a few different shots in the movie inside of his mask.
Yeah.
Just things I hadn't seen before exactly. There's more handheld camera in this as well. So I did feel that he brought a distinct visual sensibility that sets this apart from the original trilogy. I think he did a really solid, if not, spectacular job directing.
The web slinging in particular is pretty much it's a really nice highlight of the movie. There's, like you said, POV shots. There was also like shoulder mounted camera shots of
Yeah.
like you just kind of see his arm and the side of his head as he's swinging through, but you really get a good sense of how intense these swings are, especially when he's jumping from the top of the Empire State Building and diving all the way down and swinging through. And then I almost got feelings of vertigo at times because you're either looking straight up at Spider-Man or the camera's way above him looking down. And so you really got a sense of the scale of how tall these buildings are and how fast he's moving and the G-force of that. I thought that that was one of the top highlights of the movie for me.
Yeah, I think he did a good job. Definitely solid director, and check out his indie films. They're good. The writers were credited to Chris McKenna and Eric Summers. So the first Spider-Man movie, Mike, I was looking back at it, Tom Holland Spider-Man, 6 screenwriters are credited on that movie.
Homecoming?
Yeah. After that, it's just McKenna and Summers are the 2 writers. So this is their 3rd solo Spider-Man film. The script is interesting. It's
That's one way to put it. I know Tom Holland was very vocal about how he was in the writer's room with them this time.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. So, very clearly, with the first 3 Spider Man movies, what they're trying to do is we're going to have Iron Man in the first one to connect it to the MCU. We'll have Nick Fury in the second, and we'll have Doctor Strange in the third. This one takes a more of a kind of collective approach with a bunch of different MCU characters. So, it doesn't kind of have that one hook. I think maybe it suffered for that a little bit. At the same time, it's hard to see who would be the exact guy. I guess Hulk could have been, but it's more of a collection of different characters. I have complicated feelings about the script. I think maybe we'll save them. I don't think it's as clean and streamlined, let's say, as the first 3.
It's definitely a buddy movie with Spider-Man and Punisher. It's no surprise that Punisher's in this movie. He's in the trailer.
Yeah.
The majority of screen time devoted to another MCU character is Punisher, I feel like, in this movie. And he has a lot of jokes, he has a lot of lines, he has a lot of screen time in this movie.
Yeah.
To their credit, I will say, this is going back to what I was saying an episode or 2 ago. Any superhero movie kind of going forward needs to be a team-up movie. I think we're done with origins from here on out. Unless it's like a really, really major character that's crucial to the overall arcing plot of what the MCU is trying to do, that we just do buddy movies from here on out. We do Spider-Man and Daredevil, or in this case, Spider-Man and Punisher. We do, maybe we'll get a Shang-Chi and Gambit. We got a little bit of that kind of indication in the Doomsday trailer. But this movie in particular is definitely a buddy movie with Spider-Man and Punisher, I felt like.
I do want to shout out the director of photography in this, Brett Pollock, I believe is how you say his last name. Okay. I liked a lot of the interesting shots. I thought there was some close-ups, some different stuff that I hadn't seen. Mike, what were your thoughts on the DP here?
I felt like there was, like 85% of this movie is just Spider-Man in a room talking to one person or 2 people, and so there's not a lot that you can do that's really interesting from a cinematography perspective there, and it's kind of boring in that respect. But other than what we talked about already with the POV shots during the web slinging and the recreating the iconic comic covers in the slow motion shots, it kind of lacks, I feel like, overall in this movie.
Yeah, I think we could talk a little bit about the marketing in this film now. They don't give much of the story away, but they give away some of the coolest shots in the movie. So if you haven't seen those trailers, you haven't seen a bunch of commercials, I think you're going to go in feeling great about it. It's just too bad, and this is kind of the nature of trailers in 2026, is that they give away a lot of the coolest stuff. So I think if you hadn't seen all that stuff, it would maybe go up a little bit, but if you've seen all the trailers and stuff, you've kind of seen some of the coolest shots in the movie, so that's disappointing, but I thought he did a solid job overall. And lastly, let's talk about Michael Giacchino, the composer. Now, this is his 4th Spider-Man movie. He did all 3 Tom Holland movies previous to this. But Mike, he has actually one of the most impressive CVs when it comes to superhero films. I know you love that term. Michael Giacchino's superhero credits: Doctor Strange, 2016, the 3 Spider-Man movies we just mentioned, Thor: Love and Thunder, which I thought was like solid. It's just tough because Ragnarok has such a banger score.
It's really good.
And like it's definitely not as good as that. And then I thought his score for Fantastic Four last summer was amazing. I can hear it in my head just saying it aloud. Maybe not, you can't hear Doctor Strange, or maybe even not necessarily the Spider-Man themes, depending on how many times you've seen those movies. But definitely Fantastic Four was really memorable to me. And he also did the Batman, the most recent Batman film, which I think is like
one of the best parts of that movie.
It actually is. Like it's really high on my list of what makes that movie good. So yeah, I think he's kind of on his way now. I think we've established previously that we feel like Danny Elfman is the GOAT superhero composer. John Williams dropped a banger with Superman. If he had further credits in the superhero world, I think because he's the composer GOAT, we all agree with that, right?
100%.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about that, at least during our lifetimes.
No John Williams slander on our pod.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think obviously Hans Zimmer, right? You got to give him a shout out. He did a lot of the DC EU movies. He did actually a really good score on Dark Phoenix, which we talked about. So
Yes, definitely.
I guess the power rankings presently in my mind, Danny Elfman 1, Hans Zimmer 2. I think Giacchino's probably 3. What do you think about that?
I think that's a fair assessment. You know, he did the Lost soundtrack, which is absolutely iconic. I don't care what you think about the ending of Lost. We don't need to go into that. Not you specifically, Mark. I'm talking to our audience right
Yeah, controversial.
But every single character has their own unique theme song, or at least theme in that TV show, and they're all absolutely great. And he did the theme song to Up, which just leaves you in tears every time you hear it.
Yeah, it's so moving.
It's amazing. So he's in the conversation for one of the best composers of all time. For a superhero standpoint, sure, yeah, we can add everything that he's done for superheroes into that resume, as you said. So, yeah, I mean, number 3 is absolutely a fair spot for him to be in.
Yeah, this is our first time kind of talking about him, actually, because we haven't gotten in the MCU stuff yet. But I definitely think that he is working his way into the all-time list of film composers. As you mentioned, he can just do emotionally evocative compositions like almost no one else. I think Up brought us to tears, and then Mike, we watched the Lost finale together in my backyard with a large group of people, like 30 people. Yeah, it was an amazing night. You saw me, bro. I was weeping. I wasn't like crying, shedding a couple of tears. I was like, and it was like his theme song was like doing the major lifting. It still kind of wrecks me when I hear it.
One of my favorite memories from that night is multiple people like pointing other people out who were just bawling in tears. Like my friend Alex was looking at me when John Locke was having his memory moment.
Yeah.
You're like, I see it, Mike. I see what's happening there. And like my brother pointing you out, and like it was just everybody was pointing each other out when we started crying in like different moments. It was honestly, it was really beautiful.
Yeah. Very special. So Giacchino, we love you, man, and we can't wait to have you on the show eventually.
That's right.
Now, Mike, this is the point where I think we need to call it as far as the spoilers go. We're going to move up our recommendations to this last section so you can stick through this. But after that, even talking about the cast is kind of a spoiler. So I don't want to do that to anyone that is going in. So regular listeners know we rate on a scale of classic, great, good, okay, bad, and terrible. Classics need time to figure out, so I think we can take that one off the board. So what is your verdict, Mike, for Spider-Man Brand New Day?
My initial instinct is it was okay. A lot of people on the way out of this theater, there was a lot of grumbling, and people didn't really seem happy with it. We surveyed some people in the parking lot, and we got a lot of greats, we got a lot of goods. I was kind of surprised by that. I fired some shots at the beginning and just kind of, this movie is a little boring. There's not a lot of action in it. There's a lot of drawn, and it's 2.5 hours long, by the way. This is a long movie with a lot of just dialogue and talking and conversation, and not a lot happening from a plot perspective, I felt like. So it also doesn't really serve the greater MCU.
Yeah.
There's nothing about Doomsday in this. There's no setup for what's about to happen, which is going to be one of the biggest Marvel events of all time, potentially. And it really doesn't accomplish a lot in that respect, so I gave it okay. That's my initial thought.
Yeah, I'm a little higher than you are on this. I'm going to go with good, but not great. I think the biggest issue I had, you just brought it up, the pacing is really slow. It starts hot, and it just kind of slows down for like a long time, unfortunately.
It's like 90 minutes.
Yeah, and then it picks up kind of in the middle, but the pacing feels a little bit off. Some of the MCU characters also felt a little shoehorned in there. I think that each Spider-Man movie, as we mentioned, had its own hero. They're just trying to jam in a lot of people in this one. Some of them worked better than others. And to me, the ending felt a little flat. I didn't feel like, especially given how emotional the climax of No Way Home was, this movie just kind of wraps it up. There's definitely some stakes that a little bit future, but to your point, it definitely doesn't set up Doomsday like at all. In that respect, I thought it was lacking a little bit. That being said, I do think, as we mentioned, this features some of the best web action in all of the Spider-Man movies, both when he's swinging through the city as well as when he's fighting people. I did really appreciate the fact that the tone did feel distinct from the previous three Spider-Man movies, which is kind of a hard thing to do, and it still honored the things you liked about the earlier ones while creating its own new tone. And I did think the villain's powers were genuinely frightening. There's too little action, but what we got was really good. It's weird. It's the type of superhero film where the flaws and the strengths are both very apparent. I think it's more serious than its three predecessors, and it kind of suffers from that seriousness. Nevertheless, I do think that fans of those films will enjoy it, so I'm going to go with good.
Spoiler alerts. This episode contains major plot details. If you wish to avoid spoilers, please pause now.
You just heard the sound. Okay, we are in spoiler territory now, officially, and we are going to go through the main characters of this film. As always, with sequels, we like to sometimes better or worse it. So, Mike, let's just start with the main three characters. Let's start with Spider-Man. Better or worse than No Way Home Spider-Man?
Worse. He is what we described as sad sack Spider-Man from... What was it, Spider-Man 2? Spider-Man 3?
Spider-Man 2 is Sad Sack Spider-Man, yeah.
This is definitely another sad sack Spider-Man. He's just like, woe is me, I'm sad about the decisions that I made from the last movie, and now I have to deal with the repercussions of being single and not having a best friend.
I disagree with that. I don't think he was throwing a pity party. I think he just recognized that, like, he made his choice and these were the consequences.
That's a fair point. Maybe I'm being a little too hard on him here, but...
He is definitely sad sack, like more sad sack. It's tough. We'll get into Peter Parker problems later, but yeah, he's very put on in this movie.
Well, and also it's like, he talks about how alone he is all the time. It's like, dude, you don't have to do that, though. You could make new friends. In fact, he does make a new friend in his New York City detective, like that he's having conversations with. So you're not actually as alone as you like claim that you are.
Yeah, Frank Castle is a friend,
and there's
obviously. Yeah, he's got a couple friends. Yeah. So. Okay, I think that's fair. I think it's, for me, it's just like Tom Holland doing Tom Holland as Spider-Man. So, like, to me, it's like not better or worse. It's like the same. It's a different character, or he's in a different stage of life, let's say. But I still think Tom Holland is just so incredibly charming as Peter Parker. I think he does such a good job in this role. One thing I thought was interesting was just how much Spider-Man is in this movie and how little that Peter Parker is in this movie.
He's in the mask a lot.
A lot. We'll talk about that later, but I thought that was a little surprising to me, so I'm going to go same. Now, MJ and Ned both, it's tough, bro, because they're just not in the movie that much. When they are, MJ has a bigger role than Ned. Ned is barely in the movie, and it was lacking because of it. Every time that Ned shows up on screen, Jacob Batalon, props to this guy. I'm like ready to go. Like, he is in the Hall of Fame for sidekicks in superhero films.
Oh, interesting.
I am ready to anoint him.
Have that conversation.
Yeah, at some point we'll do a sidekick draft or something like that. But yeah, I think Ned is amazing in all of them. And when he shows up in this movie, it just brightens the tone. It gets funny. He's the comic relief in a lot of this stuff. And he is here too. And I just wish we'd had a little more Ned. Again, I know why they didn't, but a little frustrating. Same with MJ. There is some MJ stuff that I liked. I think Zendaya was good, but she's just not as big of a part as she was, at least relative to the last. So the first one there, she's not in it as much, but the last two, she was really central to those films, and I wanted more Zendaya.
You shouted it out as we were leaving the theater. That's the whole part of that original trilogy, is the camaraderie of these characters and that they're all going through these things together. It's not just Spider-Man. Ned's this guy in the chair. He's involved. MJ is there trying to help figure out the solutions to all these problems too, as well as being his emotional support. And that camaraderie completely lacks. They tried to fill that gap a little bit with Punisher, but he's a cold murderer.
It's a very different,
It's not the same dynamic. He's also like 15 years older than him. So from that respect, like both of them I would put them at worse in this case, because Not only that, we're throwing away an entire story arc about Ned figuring out that he has Doctor Strange powers, dude. Where is that going to go?
Yeah, great point.
Come on.
I totally forgot
He's
that.
another hero in the making right now.
Well, I'm assuming that by virtue of forgetting Spider-Man, he kind of forgot everything that he was doing with Doctor Strange too. But that's a great point. That's a great point. It's totally fair. Let's talk a little about the MCU characters that you've already seen that are in this film. So start with Punisher. Mike, did you watch the recent special? I believe it's called Punisher: One Final Kill.
One Last Kill.
One Last Kill. What were your thoughts?
It was ridiculous, and it didn't do anything. It didn't solve anything. It's just him basically murdering a whole building full of people for an hour and 10 minutes. Exactly the right length. I don't need a full hour 45 of that because nothing else really happens beyond that. So it was kind of strange watching him go from that version of Sad Sack Punisher to all of a sudden being a comic relief character in this movie. It's like, yeah, he's dark and disturbed, but we're not really talking about that here. I enjoyed John Bernthal in this movie. I thought he was one of the best parts. In fact, since we're talking about characters, I think as we said as we were prepping, we can combine good guy and bad guy into this section here. He's my good guy in the movie.
Interesting.
I thought he was the most fun. He has the most jokes. All the jokes do kind of work for him within the context of this movie, not within the context of his character.
Yeah, it's weird because the Punisher that we've seen, right, in that special, which I personally did not enjoy, at all, really. It's just miserable. It's just, miserable. I don't know. And honestly, Bernthal is a dude that goes for it, and I really respect that.
Yeah.
At the same time, he is going so hard into the melodrama with his character. I like him with Daredevil. I never really cared for the Punisher solo series. I felt like they were just miserable and pointless, frankly. So I think this is kind of almost like the third version of the character that we've seen over the years, because he's different from the Daredevil thing, which factored in a lot in terms of the police task force. They're all wearing some Punisher badges.
That's the other thing too. It has no mention of anything.
None of that.
Isn't he a vigilante at this point? He's a wanted murderer.
It's sort of weird.
Just chilling in the hospital room with Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's sort of weird with that, the way that the shows don't really integrate into this. In his version, I think he's playing a slightly different version in this. It does feel kind of like an introduction to people who haven't seen him. There things that are really solid. I just think in general, Mike, I'm just not the biggest Punisher guy. I've never kind of have been. And I think the best thing, to your point about the good guy thing, the dynamic between him and Spider-Man is awesome, right? Spider-Man is like this kid who's optimistic, positive, trying to do the right thing. And then you have just the world-weary, just shoot him in the face, Punisher, type. And their dynamic and their contrast is really good. So
it's a nice dichotomy for sure.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Hulk. This one's a little weird for me because I really like Ruffalo as the Hulk. He is the one that I felt was very shoehorned into this movie, even more so than the next couple that we're going to talk about. That being said, we'll talk about it shortly. The Hulk versus Spider-Man battle? Let's go. I've been wanting to see this.
Right.
Cool. So I was glad to see that, but I did feel like his character was a little shoehorned in there.
I thought it kind of worked within the context of I need to figure out why my DNA is changing, and there's only kind of one person that I know of that can help me with that. But don't hide your identity from this person. He clearly knows that you're not just some kid named Ned. As he assumes,
Yeah.
He knows there's more going on here. It's just tell him, hey, I'm Spider-Man. We've worked together. This is what's going on with me. I need your help.
Yeah.
That should have just been the conversation.
That's totally fair point. Totally fair point. Now we're starting to get into official spoilers here. So Yelena from the Thunderbolts. She shows up in a few different scenes. I have to say, I liked it, Mike. I like her. I think she has good comic relief energy. I think she's probably maybe the best character post Endgame that the MCU's introduced. I mean, Shang-Chi as a film was really solid, but as a character, he's okay. I don't think anyone's favorite, but Yelena has personality. She's funny. I thought she was great in Thunderbolts.
Absolutely.
And I loved her cameo in Hawkeye too. So I think she's probably the best character post Endgame the MCU's introduced, and she serves a very similar role in this movie. Really enjoyed the Yelena cameos.
It was a really great surprise to see her. I had no idea she was going to be in this, so when she popped up, I was like, "Oh shit, this is great!" Yeah, she's amazing. Great act. She's probably the best actor
Yeah.
in all of these
Yeah.
movies that everything
Yeah.
post-Endgame, because we don't have Tony Stark or Cap anymore. So
Yeah.
I mean, you see her in this compared to like Dune or just anything else that she's been in, and like it is a completely different character.
Yeah.
And she's nailing the accent the whole time,
Yep.
as opposed to like Elizabeth Olsen, who drops the accent. So yeah, no, I was pleasantly surprised, and she's definitely one of the shining lights of the movie.
And I just want to briefly shout out Scorpion. So, obviously, the first Spider-Man movie, Michael Mando, who I loved in Better Call Saul. Awesome dude. Great personality. We interviewed him at work. He's a very nice guy. I really like the Scorpion. I actually was like a little skeptical, like, how are they going to pull that off? Like, he's kind of goofy. He's got the big tail. But they kind of made it like a mech suit. And I actually thought it looked pretty sick. He doesn't have a huge role in this movie, but I actually really enjoyed Scorpion in this film.
I wanted more. The action scene is great. The way he when he stuck his tail on the ground and used that as leverage to flip around and kick him, I was like, this is a great use of this character.
Yeah. I
he's
agree.
a super talented actor, and yeah, more of him, please.
Yeah, I think we could use a little more Scorpion. And now, Mike, it's time for the biggest spoiler of all. We have to talk about major new characters who make a first appearance in this movie. And Sadie Sink has been all part of the press tour. I, in the spirit of avoiding spoilers, have not really been watching those videos too much. I really like her on Stranger Things. I think she's a very talented actor. Sadie Sink is Jean Grey. We got to get into this, Mike. This is a really big one for us. So first of all, I do want to shout out God, because in my opinion, God's language is serendipitous coincidences. That's how you know that there is a higher power.
Shout out to my boy God.
Shout out to my guy God. Mike, the fact that we went straight from X-Men into Spider-Man, and then the next Marvel movie has an X-Men Spider-Man crossover. Shout out to my man God.
Very
Let's go.
Yes.
Very serendipitous. So, I think we can say a few things here, having just watched all the X-Men movies and all this. Mike, this is my favorite Jean Grey that we've seen on film.
What?
Yes. She's my favorite Jean Grey already.
Wow. Okay. I do not feel that way.
Okay, I'm gonna give you my argument here, okay? She has terrifying powers in this movie. She is terrifyingly powerful in this movie. It really, to me, suggested a path where mutants are way more powerful than the heroes in the MCU, therefore creating a real threat for all of planet Earth once these mutants start coming out or being evolved, right? I mean, if you imagine that Jean Grey in this movie is this powerful, how powerful are Professor X and Magneto going to be? Like, if this is her level. It also establishes that she has this like kind of dark side to her personality. I hope that we don't have to go back to the Phoenix Well again, or if they do, they'll like figure out a cool way to do it. But like
Avengers versus X-Men.
Yeah, figure out something cool. We've seen it twice and neither have been great. But like if they do go that route, they've definitely already kind of established her character as being kind of angry, bitter, dark, resentful, out for vengeance. So like I did like that. With all of that being said, this movie takes a ton of creative liberties with her power set.
Oh, yeah.
In my mind, like Jean Grey's power set is actually like telekinesis, making objects float. Like she obviously has some telepathic abilities, but like Professor X is like the main telepath, right? Like he's the one.
Yes.
She kind of can use her mind to make objects float and do other things. They super power her up in this movie where she's just literally inhabiting people's minds and bodies. Like not really something that we've seen from her before. And I also feel like it's a little bit of a curious choice to we're just going to put Jean Grey in a Spider-Man movie and kind of backdoor X-Men in the MCU pilot with this movie. Like it's an interesting, it's sort of an interesting choice because obviously, you know, Professor X and that stuff in Doctor Strange Multiverse was multiversal versions of the characters. Kamala Khan has mentioned, like, in the end of Miss Marvel that she is a mutant. She says the word, I'm a mutant. But it kind of makes me wonder, like, how are they setting up mutants in the MCU when they're just kind of giving a backdoor pilot? So I thought, again, from a holy cow, that's a terrifying ability to just jump into people's minds. And it's cool the way it's used. I love the way that, like, the actors, like, their whole body, like, kind of, you know, shakes and like quakes when it comes out of her brain and then hops into the next person and You know, they kind of contort when it's jumping. I thought it was scary, cool, but I don't really think that is who Jean Grey is in my mind. So, like, I don't know. It's a little mixed, but overall, I really liked her. And just given how low the bar is for a good Jean Grey, I think she crossed it and is now, like, almost by default, the best Jean Grey we've seen on film.
I'm okay with them changing characters up, giving them different motivations, especially when we're doing this weird multiverse, bringing other characters in from other properties and things like that. Like, all of that works for me. I guess what doesn't work for me is just, like, her motivation in this movie. It's just, I'm angry about my sister. And we get one scene with her sister. One. And it's like 2 minutes long. That doesn't really feed the entire rest of the 2.5 hour runtime for me. Like you said, it kind of felt like we're making her the bad guy so that in a Spider-Man movie to backdoor pilot the rest of the X-Men coming forward. Like, this is going to be an introduction. I guess she's on the bus at the end of the movie going to Xavier's school or something.
Well, she's leaving town.
She's leaving town, for sure. But, I don't know. It didn't really work for me. And this is this is not my favorite version. X-Men 2 Jean is my favorite version of Jean.
And our last major new character introduced, Bill Metzger, Trammell Tillman from Severance, a show that you and I both love, and I love him on that show.
He's great.
I mean, that show's like incredible, and he might be the best like character on that show, or you can certainly make the case that he's the best character on that show. So, real big fan of the actor. I did enjoy the fact he plays the head of the Department of Damage Control, DODC. I like the fact that they brought it full circle back to the opening of Spider-Man Homecoming with Michael Keaton's character, and they just come in and they're just like, you guys are done. We're taking it from here. And
yeah, that was good.
You know, so I like that this is like kind of a running theme throughout the Spider-Man films. Mike, I thought it was obvious from the very first moment he came on screen that he was the bad guy.
100%.
And I like kind of lost some respect for Peter Parker that he didn't see this coming. And he's like, I didn't see it coming. I was betrayed. I thought he was the good guy. And it's like, really, dude? You
Dude's
really?
working with the hand,
Yeah.
first of all. And also, you have spider sense. What is happening here? Why is that not kicking in and telling you that there's something wrong with this guy? And that he's lying to you. Like, is he really that naive to be like, oh, the big reveal? He lied to me. That was the big reveal?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty clear right away that, like, this was going to be the big bad in the movie, and Damage Control is not really, like, a good organization, and, like, a little disappointing for an actor I really like, and a role that had potential. All right, now let's get into our categories. As always, we're going to start with Best Action Scene. We've talked about it already. Too little action in this movie, Mike. And it starts really hot and then slows down quite a bit for a while and kind of picks up in the second half. So the first really big action scene is the tank chase. This is where he meets the Punisher. Tank is just driving through New York, out of control. No one knows why or who's in it. Again, this is frustrating that in the marketing, they give this away, that it's just a random lady inside. I felt like that could have been an amazing reveal if you hadn't seen that in the trailer. Yeah, the first trailer kind of shows there's like a lady in a tank, and then it jumps, it's that whole thing where she's jumping from mind to mind. Really bummed that they gave that away in the trailer, because I felt like that was really... Okay. I enjoyed it. I thought this was an awesome scene, honestly.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
It was good. It was a good opening to the movie.
Yeah, and the stuff with the Punisher was good there, too, and just kind of him trying to chase and, like, find out which mind she's jumping to. I thought this was a real hot start, and then, like we said, long stretch with no action. The next big one is the Scorpion fight / MJ race. Really creepy stuff from Jean Grey here, being like...
Possession is creepy, yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very creepy. You talked about the Scorpion's fight moves. They were sick. This was good, too. I like this. It's not super heavy action, because it's more him kind of web swinging across the city trying to get there, but solid scene for me.
Yeah.
I think the next one is probably your favorite, too, then the Hulk fight.
Absolutely. That's the best part of the movie.
Yeah. It's, to me, not complicated at all, right? Spider-Man fighting the Hulk. Like, we are nerds who've been reading comic books since we were small children. We are middle-aged men now. We finally get to see the Incredible Hulk fight the Amazing Spider-Man on the big screen. you could go a million ways, right? So it's like, I don't even know what my expectation level was with this, but like, I very much enjoyed this scene. And I think what I enjoyed the most was just the way that Spider-Man's using his powers as best he can. I've never really seen like a Hulk battle. He's like swinging around the building to tie him to the building.
Yeah, that was great.
Which I thought was just such a cool way to incapacitate him.
Yeah.
I like the callback to the scene where he's like running down the hall and the Hulk is chasing
Yes.
him, which is like an Avengers callback.
Yes.
This was an awesome scene.
The thing that really made it for me was when he transforms and he's like, oh, I didn't know you could get that big. It was so refreshing to see giant, ripped Hulk rather than just like Mark Ruffalo, who's a little bit bigger and has a green hue.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like I'm so tired of seeing that version of Professor Hulk. He's like, that's not Hulk. Give me giant Hulk that's huge and ripped. Like, it was so nice seeing no Banner, only Hulk.
Yeah.
That guy coming back.
Exactly. Like, he is really scary here. And, like, he hasn't been genuinely scary since, I guess, like,
Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Right.
But even there, he's on the good guy side. When he fights Iron Man in Ultron, that's
great.
probably the closest comp to this, which is obviously a sick fight scene, too. So,
Yeah.
really good to see superheroes fighting against the Hulk. The climax of the film was underwhelming, I think, for both of us. It's the hand scene. It's cool. There's some really cool visuals, like, but again, they were already in the trailer. I did like how when he finally takes off the inhibitor and his webs are kind of spraying instead of just shooting regular, one string of web. But he just dispatches with them easily then because he just, like, sprays web all over them, goes up, comes down. They're trapped, and, like, that's it. He just took them out without actually having to do a whole lot of hand-to-hand combat. There is some cool stunt work in this movie, Mike. There was a little bit more than I expected in terms of someone actually fighting other people hand-to-hand in real life. You can tell it's not CGI, so I appreciated those parts. But overall, I thought this was probably the weakest action scene, and it was the climax of the movie.
I got a little bit of shades of Crouching Tiger in this scene, though.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of wire food kind of stuff happening. I was like, all right, that's kind of cool.
Always for that.
So I would say this is probably like my second favorite scene in the movie, action scene. But this is not a good climax to the movie. It's like, this is a scene that you do, 45 minutes into the movie, is Spider-Man fighting a bunch of ninjas. That's not what we want to see. We want to see him taking on the big bad of the movie, and that's not really what we got. In a way, Punisher kind of becomes the big bad of the movie because he's the one who shoots him in the chest and creates that final conflict. Like, this just didn't work for me with this hand being like the end-all fight of the movie, basically.
Yeah, I agree. It's a little underwhelming, especially after you just had a Hulk scene,
Right.
too. Let's talk about the best non-action scenes. We've obviously only seen this movie one time, so it's kind of difficult to go through it like we would, movies that we've watched a bunch on our other episodes. I'm just going to call out a few things that I personally thought awesome, and then you can maybe jump in and add some if you like them. I thought the opening montage was incredible, actually. The one that uses all the iconic Spider-Man covers, and it's set to a soundtrack of Wolf Like Me by TV on the Radio. I love TV on the Radio.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of those guys. I've seen them live like 5 or 6 times. I love Wolf Like Me. I feel like it's an all-time classic. Mike, I was kind of thinking, like, if you look at Spider-Man No Way Home, I, Zimbra by Talking Heads is the song that they're using when the J. Jonah Jameson reveal comes out and everyone's like, wait a minute, you're... And that, to me, that song kind of set the tone for the movie. It's playful, energetic, a little weird, fun, right? This one, Wolf Like Me, kind of sets the tone for this movie. It's darker. It's still a great song, but it's kind of heavy and driving and serious and brooding a little bit, right? So, like, I thought it was telling that when you compare the opening to the two films that I think it set the tone. So I really liked the opening of this film. I thought it was really good. And it's kind of an action scene because it does have all that stuff. But yeah, I love the opening.
I'm going to go with the scene where they're Zendaya and Spider-Man and Tom. Spider-Man and MJ are on the Punisher's like boat and they're trying to work on his mask or something, and she's laying in bed and there's a screen between both of them, so he's still protecting his identity, but they're actually having a real conversation. And that felt the most like the previous 3 movies to me, where it's like, oh, this is their dynamic is back. They're having an intimate conversation, but still being like flirty and funny with each other. This scene to me felt the most real to these characters that we had seen them be before, and it finally like came back to them again.
It's funny you should say that because all my other scenes are MJ and or Ned with Spider-Man.
Yeah.
The camaraderie between the three of them, it just was the foundation of the earlier trilogy. When you do get little bits of that in this, I loved every one of those scenes, particularly the scene where he comes to MJ and Ned's apartment dressed in full Spider-Man costume, and they just start building the Death Star out of logos.
Yeah, quoting Lord of the Rings at each other.
I knew you were like smiling for that. I like literally looked over at you to see like...
I was finishing the quote.
Yeah, you were literally like mouthing along with them, Mike being a huge Lord of the Rings fan, so I love that scene. So those were some of the standouts for me, but in general, like, again, we'll rewatch it, but just a little too much blah, blah, blah in this movie. It's a little frustrating. Now let's talk about the secret layers and costuming. And Mike, I'm going to make a bold claim here.
That's a good one.
I think this is the best Spidey suit in any Spider-Man movie.
Oh, that's not what I was thinking, but okay.
Okay. I love this Spider-Man costume, especially in contrast to the three previous versions. In the first one, he's kind of in the pajamas at the beginning, and then he gets the suit from Iron Man and is wearing that well. The second and third ones are more like the, mechanized. I like the Night Monkey suit, but that's kind of a goof a little bit. I actually don't really love the one on the bridge where it's like way darker blue, almost black. He has the webbing underneath the armpits. It's okay. And then the suits in No Way Home, again, just very mechanized. So this is just literally bringing it back to spandex. And you can tell he's just wearing kind of spandex. It just shines. And I loved his eyes. I loved how expressive they are in this. I love how black trim around the eye was like significantly thicker on this.
And they're moving with his eye movements.
Exactly. Moving with his eye movements. I just thought like this movie has by far the most Peter Parker in costume, and every scene I was like, cool, let's go. This costume's amazing. I love this costume.
The black and red costume that you called out is actually my favorite Tom Holland costume.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that suit looks absolutely great. It's the perfect blend of not looking like it's spandex, but also looking like a legitimate like piece of durable fabric that a superhero would want to wear because it wouldn't tear or things like that. So the end of the second one going into the beginning of the third one is my favorite suit. This one I did not like at all. Besides
what?
To me it felt like the dudes that are on the Las Vegas Strip. It just looked
wow.
like those guys to me,
Wow. You didn't like it.
No, I didn't like it. It is very comic accurate. I'll give them that. Like it looks legitimately like the exact same. Like when you think of Spider-Man in the comics, this is very much what it looks like. But at the same time, it looks really cheap and fake to me. It just something about it just looked like those dudes on the Vegas Strip. So
wow. Man, we are in hard disagreement on that one. Wow. Okay. That's fair. I see your point. I'm glad they went back to, given the events of the last film, he's starting over. He's going to have to kind of come up with his own stuff. He's just going to wear spandex, like he doesn't have Tony Stark to build him a sick suit anymore.
No, he's got a fabricator in his apartment literally making this thing at the beginning for him.
Yeah. Okay. You know what? That's a fair point. There's some technology stuff here. It kind of integrates, he can still talk to the mask, and the goggles are kind of like his AI, right? So, but man, I just totally disagree. I loved how he looked in this. Secret layers are pretty cool too. So he has his own little attic spider lair. It's fine, but Frank Castle's...
There it is. That's what I was saying. Who has a good one here?
Sick. It's absolutely sick. He's got it booby-trapped in, like, really violent ways to potentially murder people as they come in, which totally fits. It's, like, on a dock. I thought this was a sick secret lair.
Yeah, it's in the shipyard or something.
Yeah.
And then there's, like, a giant propeller that comes down at their heads. And he's like, watch out for the claymores. I'm like, this totally tracks with the character.
Totally.
And, yeah, he's in hiding, No, this is a great secret lair.
Yeah.
One of the best.
Next category, secret identity. A little surprising here. This is by far the movie of Spider-Man that has the most emphasis on the secret identity. He is constantly keeping his mask on. He's
frustratingly so.
You think so?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Especially when he's talking to other superheroes. The scene where he goes to the bathhouse with Yelena, She's an Avenger, dude. It's okay for you to reveal your identity to her. You can take your mask off in this moment. She's like, oh, I saw your belly button. That was a nice little joke.
Yeah.
But, like, who cares if another superhero, like, she can protect herself. She's like, I understand you want to protect those that you love, but she's capable of doing that on her own. She's in that world. It's okay to reveal your identity to her and to punish her for that moment. And eventually he does, but, like, it's frustrating that he's being so secretive about his identity when he hasn't been in previous movies and he doesn't need to be with these characters.
That's a fair point. I think it tracked with his character just in terms of he lost everything by people knowing who he was before. So now he's like, I'm not going to let anyone know
Regular
who I
people,
am.
though.
Yeah, fair, right? I see your point with superheroes. It's a little much, but sets up some comedic stuff. It's fine. I just thought, given what Marvel has done in terms of secret identities and literally obliterating them, right? Like, that's not really a thing that we're going to have to talk about in the MCU. The fact you have this one character...
The first Iron Man movie.
Exactly. The fact you have this one character who's extremely guarded about his identity to the point that his mask doesn't give a single thing away. You don't know his hair color, you don't know his eye color, you don't know anything about him, right? It's fully covering him. I just thought it was cool that they leaned into that because it's never a thing in other Marvel movies. So, I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I definitely see your point. Total Destruction. This is an interesting one, Mike.
Yeah, it is.
I got 0.
I was having a hard time with this one, too.
Yeah. Now, we usually watch extremely closely, and again, just having seen it once, we can't do that. But I think there's a couple implied deaths. Number one, when Hulk falls from the building and is bringing down a building and he's falling 40 floors.
All the debris.
You got to assume some people died there. He does actually ask, was anyone hurt when he is going in, and they don't.
Intentionally don't tell him. Yeah.
They don't tell him. Yeah. So that, to me, suggests that people were hurt and or killed. I can't imagine that people didn't die. Nevertheless, they don't actually address the question directly there. The other scene that I thought could have been potentially some deaths, when Jean locks down the city.
Yeah.
It goes back to the, like,
the
people in a hospital. Yeah, exactly. The pluribus thing, right? Like, if you're frozen in the middle of an emergency and you're just bleeding out. So, again, I would imply a handful of deaths from that. But, like, explicitly, no one dies in this movie.
I had another scene like that at the beginning when he's chasing down the tank and it's driving through cars and cars are exploding and flipping over. Probably a couple deaths in that moment, too. The only other one that we haven't shouted out yet was Jean's sister.
Ah, that is the one confirmed death.
Yep.
Good point. Yes. So there's one confirmed death in this movie, Jean's sister. They don't actually explain, like, how she died. I mean, they were experimenting on her. Yeah. I do think they left wiggle room potentially that she could come back. I hope they don't do it.
No,
I'm not particularly. I actually had to Google this morning to see, like, is Sarah Gray, like, a real character in the comics? She is.
Okay.
I'd never heard of her.
Me either. We gave each other a confused look when we brought that up. Like,
yeah. She is canonically in Marvel Comics part of it. She's eventually killed. This isn't Havoc and Cyclops, right? Where it's like a well-known sibling. It's like, oh, okay, she had a sister. So, yeah, I guess that is the one. But yeah, it's not a lot of death, especially for a Spider-Man movie.
I gave it 25. Based
okay.
on all the collateral damage that we talked about.
That feels right. Collaterally, we can confirm. All right, Peter Parker problems here. I thought one thing that's very interesting with this film relative to the other three. In the first 3 MCU films, right, one of the hallmarks is that Peter is making all the problems for himself because he's a naive teenager. He's, like, disobeying Iron Man, like, no, I got this, and bad things happen, and he's creating his problems. He's giving Mysterio the glasses in the second one, which is like, dude, that's such a dumb move. I mean, I kind of see it in the moment. I felt like it was a pretty good reveal, actually, in the film, but really, really dumb in hindsight.
Yeah.
And then obviously the third one is just like, yeah, I can rehabilitate these guys. They don't have to die. Like, it's fine. Like, the Green Goblin, like, he can be redeemed somehow. And it's like, no, dude. Like,
he's very naive through all 3 of these movies.
Exactly. And he doesn't have that in this, right? Like, he's actually, like, very grounded. His real problems, you see him during the opening montage. I like that literally pretty much every time we see Tom Holland with his mask off, his face is bruised up.
Yeah.
His body's bruised up. His bruises everywhere. He literally has no friends or family. I mean, excepting Punisher and, you know, a handful of kind of acquaintances. The whole thing with the note to MJ that ended No Way Home and plays a big role in this. She's like, nah, I'm good. And they don't resolve it. which
Oh, yeah.
I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, obviously that opens the door for future ones, but it's not like at the end of the movie, or it's similar in some ways to the Gamora Peter Quill thing in Guardians 3,
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
true.
like, you know, you don't know me anymore, but I have all these feelings for you. And in both versions, the woman's like, nah, man, I don't feel that way about you. And it feels kind of realistic to me, honestly.
Yeah, it does.
Jean Grey is really cruel to him through this movie. Like, she's almost borderline sadistic just because she thinks he's working with damage control, but like
Right.
the misunderstanding plays a huge role. But she's like, I'm gonna go get her and like ruin, you know, and it's like feels very threatening. So his true only moment of joy in this entire film is literally the very last scene where he runs into Ned in the cafe and he starts doing the secret handshake, and then
no.
Ned.
Them building the Lego ship together.
Well, I guess that was a happy moment too, but like I'm just saying, like not much joy from Peter Parker in this movies. And again, he's not,
Sad.
you know, he's not having a good time in the other ones too. He's making bad decisions and having a lot of stress, but like this is the most fraught Peter Parker by far of the MCU movies.
Yeah, the Tom Holland ones. I absolutely agree with that. So, what do you give him? What do you score him for his problems?
If we're going on a scale of 1 to 10, at least an 8. Dude, he has no
not
friends
happy.
or family, man.
Yeah, he's not happy.
Literally no friends or family. Like, it's one thing if you don't have friends and you just visit your parents all the time or your aunt. Or he doesn't have anyone. He has no one. And I felt horrible for him. And now it's time for everybody's favorite section of the show. Little section we call, I've Got Questions.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Questions. Questions that need answering.
Too many questions. There's too many questions. There's just too many. I'll ask the questions.
All right, Mike. I'm just going to start with the big one here. Is Spider-Man now a mutant?
Well, I mean, he's mutating. I actually thought they were going to go that route, and I thought Gene was going to say something like, you know, the spider just unlocked your mutant powers kind of thing, and it was like super coincidental that it was a spider that happened to give you your inherently spider abilities that are already a part of you. You know, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had gone that route, and actually it would have bridged the gap very nicely with what they're planning on doing if they had done something like that.
It's weird because they don't actually ever use the word mutant. They use the word mutation
Yeah.
a lot, but they never call Jean Grey a mutant. They never say that Spider-Man's becoming a mutant. Like, and mutant obviously is a very loaded word in, you know, Marvel Comics, Marvel
Can
history.
they say it now, or does Fox still own the rights to that word?
No, they can say mutant.
They can.
And
Okay.
so here's what I have canonically established mutants in the 616 mainline universe of Marvel. You have Miss Marvel, who explicitly says, I'm a mutant.
Yep.
You have Namor, who also says, I'm a mutant.
Yes.
And now Jean Grey and Spider-Man. So, like, this is a kind of a weird collection of mutants to kick off where they're going with the X-Men. I would be fine with it. It's a weird thing, right? Because you want to see part of what's been cool about the MCU is remixing classic things in Marvel Comics. Spider-Man has never been a mutant. It's it's a little odd for me. I'm not sure. It could
with
work.
them.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah, and like he's been a member of like the Fantastic Four and things like that. But yeah, he's never been a mutant. So remixing it, like I said, like I would have been fine with them doing that and embracing it and being like, oh, you are mutating, so yes, you are a mutant and you have powers for it now. So
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
What's your first question?
Okay, they go to Punisher's ship, and Spider-Man's like, well, I need all these different scientific gadgets and things to fix my inhibitor chip, and you don't have this, and you don't have that. And Punisher's like, yeah, I do. I've got all that shit. Why? And just like, to make bombs. That's a nice little joke in the moment. But why does he need these things to make bombs? Can't he just use like manure and Clorox like a normal bomber?
You know, Punisher is he's a fan of elaborate bombs, Mike. You see, like he's got like timed bombs. You know, not just like a light the fuse TNT style.
I mean, he uses like pipe bombs and shit, right? So he doesn't need to be the guy who's like, I'm going to create a very elaborate timed proximity explosion in this building.
Completely fair. Completely fair. My next question. Why does Bruce Banner now need an inhibitor device to keep the Hulk at bay?
Oh my god, thank you.
Right? This was established in Endgame that he could he had control over Hulk.
Yes.
He could be Bruce Banner mind in the body of Hulk. He integrated. He talked about that.
Yes.
But now all of a sudden he needs an inhibitor chip to keep the Hulk. And I'm like, well, what has happened since? And I can't think of anything. I don't understand.
Was there something in She-Hulk?
No.
Yeah.
Because even in She-Hulk, I don't think he hulks out at any point, but...
Yeah, he does when he's training her.
Oh, yeah, but he's still
he's
like
still
the normal... Yeah, exactly. Weird.
Yeah, I didn't get that one either.
Weird.
What exactly is the Staten Island event that they talked about? It's really frustrating. They talk over each other so much in that scene when they're explaining it that you don't know what they're talking about.
No, they very clearly didn't explain what that was, and I felt like that was going to come back in the climax or something, where we were going to get a quick flashback or something, you know what I mean? And we don't. And yeah, that's it's a great question.
It's really frustrating.
Yeah, I would love to see what happened. Where I'm assuming Spider-Man saved his life, but
Yeah, that's all we get.
I'd like to see it. My last one is Peter's secret lair is the asbestos-riddled attic of his apartment building. His landlord's like, we just use this for storage, go ahead. But does that mean that the landlord can just pop up there anytime and just be like, what's all this technology? Why is it printing a Spider-Man suit? Why is he tracking all this crime on his... Wait a minute. They're just immediately...
He does own the property, so yeah.
So for as careful as he's being about his secret identity, it's like your landlord could bust you at any moment, bro.
That's a weird one, for sure. My last one, why did Damage Control team up with the Hand?
They basically said they were just confused teenagers, and so
But
you can...
Did they just want an army of ninjas on their side? Was that it?
I guess. I also don't understand, like, at a certain point, so, like, you're a formed gang member. Yeah. You're not, like, still in the Crips, and you're like, we got the Crips. You're like a former Crip that's now the new thing. You're not like, we're going to keep the gang intact. You're going to still wear all of your hand outfits and all of your hand stuff, but we're going to... But you work for us. Like, confusing. So. Yeah. All right, Mike. Well, I'd like at this point, for our final section here before our recommendations, to just explain to you what I took away from this movie and what this movie is really all about. And Mike, let me tell you, Spider-Man Brand New Day uses mutation as a metaphor for personal evolution and growth. Spider-Man's physical changes parallel his shift into a new, more mature man. And he's resisting this. He's literally inventing an inhibitor chip to keep him from changing into what he's meant to become. Similarly, Jean Grey is only beginning to learn how to use her powers, and her single-minded quest for revenge puts the entire city in jeopardy and prevents her from becoming the hero we know she can be. But by the end of the film, Jean has let go of her vengeance and discovered that just because she can read minds, she can't always see the big picture. Meanwhile, Spider-Man has accepted his new mutations and has let go of the sacrificial isolation he felt resigned to. They've leaned into the new versions of themselves, proving that surrender and acceptance are the real superpowers. That's my take, Mike. What do you got?
Well, Mark, as always, what you said was poetic and poignant. But as always, you fail to see the point, because deep at its core, Spider-Man Brand New Day is really about big shadowy government entities trying to create secret off-book programs for mind control. Think about it. In the 1950s and 60s, the CIA was using chemical interrogation, electroshock therapy, and large amounts of LSD to experiment with mind control. This was called the MK Ultra Project. And that sounds suspiciously like what Damage Control was trying to do with Jean and Sarah Grey. They had found a human being capable of delivering what the CIA could not and attempt to weaponize it for themselves. The only question now is why? And who at Disney Marvel really knows the truth? Could this movie actually be a subtle confession that perhaps Phase 7 of the MCU is attempting to control the masses? But for what purpose? To get audiences to come back and fill the seats of theaters in an ever-diminishing economy of movie tickets? We may never know the real truth, Mark. And that's what scares me the most.
Oh, Mike. I am never not humbled by you.
I stayed up all night thinking of that.
I just try to, like, look at the film and read the text and, like, get to the themes. And then, like, nevertheless, you cut through all of my high-minded, artistic, poignant BS, and you just get down to it. I can't argue with a single word you just said. Not one word.
It's right there in front of you, man.
It's right there in front of us. All right, folks. Well, normally we would give our final verdict here, but we did that at the top. I'm going with good. Mike's going with okay.
Yep.
So we're going to send you out of here, as always, with our recommendations, both comic and film. I'll go ahead and kick us off with the comic recommendation, and I am going to go with Ultimate Spider-Man, bringing it full circle, but the new version. This is the Ultimate Spider-Man 2024 version. So it's pretty interesting, actually, the setup here, Mike, because essentially there's a lot of blah, 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 but the villain known as the Maker, who is the ultimate version of Reed Richards, gets into the mainline Marvel Universe non-ultimate version, and he actually prevents all of these heroes from becoming the heroes they were supposed to be. So he literally kills the radioactive spider as it's about to bite Peter Parker, turn him into Spider-Man. He stops all these things. So in this comic, Spider-Man is like a middle-aged guy married to Mary Jane with 2 kids before he actually becomes Spider-Man. It's just a really cool way to filter new remix versions of these characters into a new universe. It's written by Jonathan Hickman, whose work I've recommended multiple times through this podcast. I think he's an amazing writer. It's just a really cool remix of Spider-Man and a cool new way to introduce a second Ultimate Spider-Man, given how big the original Brian Michael Bendis comic was. So check out the new version of Ultimate Spider-Man.
That sounds really good. Yeah, I've not read that one. I always like when they do a spin on heroes becoming like ultimate villains in other ways. Kind of makes me interested in what we're going to see with Doomsday, so or potentially.
Yeah.
We'll see. My comic recommendation is going to be not a comic, but a TV show. I'm going with the animated Spider-Man series from 1994, specifically Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8, which are called Enter the Punisher and Duel of the Hunters. And this 2-episode arc specifically features Spider-Man going through a genetic mutation. All of a sudden, the spider DNA is starting to swell up within him, as we see in this movie. And actually, it was the genesis for my theory, which hopefully we're going to see in this movie, but ended up not seeing, where he was going to transform into a crazy man-spider monster. He's like, walks on 2 legs, but he's got 4 arms and the head of a spider. It's really quite horrific. And who should take him down but the Punisher and Kraven the Hunter comes in as well. It's a neat little team up between these two, hunting down the man spider. And it's a really fun episode arc across these 2 episodes. And if you can find it, I'm sure it's on Disney Plus at this point. Yeah, I'd recommend checking out Season 2, Episodes 7 and 8 of the Spider-Man animated series.
I really need to go back and rewatch that show. I'm not sure that I ever watched it. I'm sure I caught a couple episodes, but like kind of a blind spot for me, especially relative to like X-Men and the Batman animated series.
It's like third. It's third to those 2. So,
okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've heard it's great. So, and our friends, the Robson brothers, have done whole seasons on it too.
Yes.
So definitely need to check that out. For my film recommendation, I'm going to go with my favorite film of 2026 so far, a film called The Drama. The Drama stars Zendaya and Robert Pattinson. And much like Spider-Man Brand New Day, the less you know going into The Drama, the better. So I'll be really broad with my review here, but I think this is the best performance I've seen from Zendaya. She often, I've seen, get criticized for kind of being one note as an actress. I thought she's amazing in The Drama. Along with future Superhero Cinema Club star Robert Pattinson. He's great as well in this movie. It's written and directed by Norwegian filmmaker Christopher Borgli, whose previous film was Dream Scenario with Nicolas Cage, a film I really liked a lot. If you take those 2 movies together, Dream Scenario and The Drama, I feel like Borgli is on track to become one of the defining filmmakers of the 2020s. Both explore themes around judgmentalism and social perceptions, themes that are obviously extremely relevant in the era of social media. But The Drama is bold and astute. It tackles topics that feel very contemporary to life in the 21st century, but it never feels heavy-handed. It doesn't take a position or offer clear resolution. Like the best art, it probes thorny questions without providing definitive answers to them. It's a really great film, Mike. Have you seen The Drama yet?
Not yet, no. It's on my list, though.
It's really, really good. I think it's my favorite film of the year so far.
Interesting. Okay.
What do you got?
I'm going to go with the Naomi Watts connection. We didn't even talk about her.
Yes, she voices Evie, I think is what he calls her.
Yes.
Yeah, Evie.
Which is his AI companion for his suit in this one. It's no longer Jennifer Connelly. But Naomi Watts was in a movie from 2007 that I really enjoyed called Funny Games. Do you know this one?
I've never watched it.
Okay. So Funny Games is starring Naomi Watts and Tim Roth. It's also got Michael Pitt from Boardwalk Empire, as well as a handful of other people in this movie. But basically the premise is that it's a family going on vacation. They drive up to their lake house, and then they're basically held hostage by two young adult men they're playing games with them. They're playing like kids games with them, but they're doing it in a sadistic manner. It is kind of disturbing, and it's very interestingly filmed. It's directed by Michael Haneke, who also directed the 1997 version of this movie, which I think was a Swedish film. So he readapted it for American audiences. And Naomi Watts is fantastic in this movie. So I would highly recommend watching it if you can. If you're into that sort of, of a premise of a movie, because it is kind of twisted and messed up. You can find it on Google, Apple, and Amazon for $4 to rent right now. So, Funny Games.
What a pull.
Yeah.
That's a real deep cut, buddy. Way to go.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I've been meaning to see it for years, and I just have a hard time being like, I want to fire up that movie that's super messed up and has all kinds of violence and people, hurting the people they love. Like, I can't wait. But I've heard so many things about this movie over the years. It's sat kind of in this corner of my mind, like, oh, I've got to watch it at some point. I'm going to check it out now. I really like that recommendation. And with that, we have reached the end of our season of Spider-Man on Superhero Cinema Club. Man, This one kind of flew by just because it was a little shorter. Good times. It was really fun to revisit the early Spider-Man films and then just send us right into this. And again, shout out to God for
my boy God
putting it together to where we look like geniuses that we did X-Men and Spider-Man back to back, and then we get the X-Men Spider-Man crossover movie to top it off. Shout out to you, God. You were the man. So
I had a great time doing this season. I had a great time going to the theater with you and watching this. So thanks for including me in this as always. And I'm looking forward to our next season, Junk Marvel.
Junk Marvel coming up next. So we'll be talking about the pre-MCU Marvel films, movies like the first two Punisher films, Ang Lee's The Hulk. So going back to the Spider-Man Brand New Day connection, Fantastic Four movies, Ghost Rider movies, who's in the news as well. Mike,
we can talk about that, yeah.
Like I said, God is in serendipity, and he is smiling on our podcast, bro. We appreciate you guys listening. As always, we are very excited. We will be back this fall with Junk Marvel on another season of Superhero Cinema Club.
Superhero Cinema Club is hosted by Mark Schiff and me, Mike Carnes. Produced by Mark Schiff. Editing by Mike Carnes. Original music provided by Chris Carnes. Find him on Spotify. Be sure to follow us on social media. You can find us at Superhero Cinema Club, and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a review. Join us next time as we dive into another epic adventure from the world of superhero cinema.